Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Monday, November 24th, exactly a month to Christmas. So, this week is Thanksgiving week. We have full 3 trading days, and then we have 2 half days. Thursday and Friday are both half days. So, not much going on there. So, we'll see. I'll probably be working Friday, but I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the room open, maybe. We'll see what it looks like. If something actionable is happening close to Thanksgiving, maybe open it up. But otherwise, we just do a long weekend. But first we have 3 full days. We do have news coming out these days. Today, not too much today though. We only have a Dallas Fed manufacturing, or sorry, we have a Chicago Fed number come out at 8:30, Dallas Fed number at 8:10:30. However, tomorrow we get a PPI number at 8:30, retail sales. So PPI and retail sales at 8:30. We have Case Shiller and FHFA home prices at 9. Consumer confidence and business inventories and pending home sales at 10. Also, Richmond Fed manufacturing. So a fair amount of stuff coming out at 10 o'clock tomorrow. A fair amount of, yeah, a pretty good news dump coming tomorrow. Uh, Wednesday, we also have a lot of news. You have the durable goods coming out at 8:30, GDP. If that's going to be yeah, well, that's not going to be first. Well, what is it? November? No, it's going to be a second read, I guess, on the third quarter. International trade jobless claims. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe that GDP read is the first on the third quarter, given the I forget. I forget if we got one before. Because we have this shutdown, so we're just kind of holding everything up for a while. We have a fair amount of news coming out on uh, Wednesday. We have a personal income and outlays number come out as well. That should be interesting if that have that PCE index in it. I heard something about that not being released, but it says on my calendar here, so we'll see. We'll assume it's going to be released. So on Wednesday we get personal income number as well at 10. All right, so we got a fair amount of news coming out. Now we had on Friday a pretty good move to the upside. Friday's action was interesting. Remember, we had a little scare to the downside. They ran it here. That started really probing the lows, and then we had a nice reversal. It took us all by surprise when they started retracing here and heading back up again. We closed up here, got about the 66.30s. Doesn't mean we have changed really any huge trajectory, but at least it looks like this area down here, this retest failure held up. So on the way down pretty hard on that day before. Well, remember that when it started off here at the highs and then had this massive reversal day. That was absolutely brutal. So yeah, that was just ugly. And then Friday we tested the lows, retraced, came back up again, and closed up here up in this upper area, at least well off the lows. So I'm going to assume that we may have a retest failure um, and that we have a shot at potentially trading back up in this upper range. So we're going to start off range bound. Going to watch maybe a slight bias to the upside given the overnight. Let's see if they can take out these highs or retest these highs as the 65s and the 66.75s. Both of them comes out to take out the high of Friday's trading. I think we may have a shot at keep retracing these single print Fs on the way down. Remember, this was that big sell-off, and we started retracing these F prints on the way down, or the F prints Friday. And let's see if they can keep retracing these. If that starts happening, I think they have a shot at trading back up into this upper range. So so far, remember we talked about this on Friday towards the close. So this could either be one of these big flushes. In other words, so the big sell-off here could be like that last hurrah flashing out the weak longs or scaring the bejesus out of everyone. Or we're going to see further continuation to the downside. We're not quite ready to make that determination because we could certainly see this run right back down again and test the lows and head lower. It doesn't. This just right now means that we've got some strength to work with. But you saw what happened here the other day. They can easily look like we have a great thing going, and it can turn into a pretty not nasty day if the sell programs kick in. But we have levels to pay attention to. So the first two levels here, resistance at 65s and the 75s, these two areas of resistance. I'm going to be looking for short setups against, looking for that early strength. If I don't see it, if I just see some weakness, I will still look to buy against that early weakness, against that 55s, 45s, 35s, down to the London low at the 25s, rotations up. So it's kind of watching this overnight range right now. They start taking out the lows in that overnight range, especially that 66, 25, and the 15s. These two support areas. I'm going to start reversing this to the short side pretty quick, and start looking for a retracement down here again. At that point, I think we may head lower again. If they start taking out this upper area, the 66, 75, I'm going to be looking at a potential retracement trade against these single print Fs and Es, and see if we can get back up to this prior move to the upside. Remember, I think this was the NVIDIA earnings report, right? We had this NVIDIA nice little pop to the upside that overnight was nothing but spectacular, and that was just the NVIDIA setup, right? They had the earnings was great, a big market was all in excitement, and then this whole sell-off happened. That was the Thursday sell-off, and if we start retracing these single prints, we have a shot at getting right at retracing this all the way back up again. So it could turn into a pretty strong day, but we just have to start that retracement and see a little bit of action on that side. Right now, we're not quite there yet. I would look for early weakness, looking to sell though against the 65s and the 75s for rotations down. If they start taking out that 75s, moving to the long side of the market, one level outside the obvious at 85s. Always keep that in mind. But I would start thinking long side of the market, a retracement trade if that starts kicking in. All right, so that's kind of how we get started. So we have pretty clear areas. Either we're going to see a retracement trade start developing, or we may see this retest to the low turn into a pretty good move to the downside again. They're not quite done yet. But the levels on the downside, 66, 15, and 25s are the ones you need to pay attention to for that to be a reality. So initially, I'm looking to buy against that weakness. If we see some 55s, the 45s, 35s, down to the 25s. Below 25s, I'm going to shift my bias. One level outside of that, 66.15, those two support areas then become significant. So as we get started, let's see if we get some strength here going, and if they can keep the momentum from Friday going. So that's kind of the starting point for the ES. Looking at our NASDAQ. Let me see, there's my NASDAQ. So NASDAQ also in a pretty good spot. They look like they are moving a little bit higher right now. Also a pretty good move to the, let me see, get my capital flow on NASDAQ here in a second. There you are. All right, it's capital flow on the NASDAQ. So NASDAQ was even worse Friday. They were probing right down into this area, really making a statement on the downside. So this retest failure is almost not even a retest. They ran that support area and really probed to the downside. Not completely out of the question for NASDAQ to do that, but it's not quite that retest failure you want to see we had on the ES. So NASDAQ in the spot where they potentially could retrace back up here to the 24,760s or higher. And but they are right here at this reverse area, resistance area right now. They're a little bit above it. Used to be support at the 420s, 400s. But we are right now a little bit above it, in a little bit of a twilight zone. So I would start off pretty much the same way, looking for early strength to see if they can continue to move up from Friday. They're looking to get short against the 550s, the 590s, up to that 650 for rotations down again. And if they start clearing that 650, start retracing the single print on the upside again, start clear that one level outside the obvious, 650, 645 to 50. I think we have a shot at keeping having Nasdaq drive us higher. So I'm not sure if the ES or Nasdaq is going to be leading, or maybe they'll just both lead. But I think watch the those single print Fs. If they start retracing on the Nasdaq or the ES, we have a shot at that catching on a little bit and start heading higher. And we get that nice buy day, that risk on kind of a day when they really start retracing this. That could be a pretty nice day. But right now, I'm just going to assume that we have a nice bounce off the lows on Friday going into the close, and this could turn into a sell-off again. So I'm watching these first resistance areas for short setups, not like flat out super aggressively, but definitely looking for them. And it's my F1. And on the way down, so if you get early, if you don't get that strength when you get some early weakness, I would look to buy against the 500s, the 24 440s, and the 360s. Below that mode from Friday and the 360s, I think I'm going to shift the bias to the short side and look for moves to the downside. One level outside the obvious at 280, 290. That could be the one last one to look for a buying opportunity. Given Nasdaq, it's probably wise to include that just because it's so volatile. But I'm looking for continuation of Friday strength. I'm looking for early strength, but these are still good resistance areas. So we're looking for short setups against these first three ones, and then above that 650, I think the coast is clear for the bulls to really start leaning into this. All right. But and on the way down, if you get some weakness, looking to buy against the 510, 500 to 510s, the 440s, the 360s to 370s. And below that one, we'll shift in the bias to the short side. Still opportunity to buy against that 280 to 90 for rotations up again. So that's how we get started on the Nasdaq. The big question for today is really, are we going to see continuation of Friday's strength, or are they going to completely kind of fall apart and the bears are still going to try to take charge of this? And then finally, looking at bonds. And bond market is to the upside. So you see we have a pretty good move. We've been drifting higher in the overnight. We've been having that flirting with taking out that 1720, 22 level. That took a little bit higher and backed off a bit. We'll see if that's going to be it. And initially looking to buy weakness against 1712, 1706s for rotations up. And looking for short setups against the 1722s. The 20, obviously you have a nice point spot here at the 24 now. So 22 to 24 against the 27, against the 27, 28, against the 118, 1802. I should go, yeah, 18 to 1802 here. So if they take out the 118s, that would be a pretty bullish sign on the bonds. That would mean that yields have a shot at coming down a bit. Remember on the F1 on the bonds, it is a boring F1, but it's everything is stuck in this range. So it's pretty stable, the bond market. So it's just drifting up and down. There's no free for all flight to safety during the sell-off, which is a pretty strong sign that it's more of a equity market, kind of a rotation or flush out or whatever you want to call it. So starting off on the long side on the bonds, looking to buy weakness, 1712, 1706s. Below 1706, just go back range bound. If they take out that 22 to 24, I would stay on the long side. And still look, I think the better short is going to come up here to 118. I would not going to be super aggressive on that 26, 27 level. But the 118s would be a pretty good spot to get short. That would be also that higher the value range in this prior distribution. So that's the bond market to get started. Slight bias to the upside. It's all primarily range band though. Back to the ES, and so far we are in a pretty good spot here for a Well, pretty good spot on both ES and Nasdaq for see that early strength develop. All right. So let's see if we get something out of that. If not, if they start taking out the lows, we'll have to shift our bias and look for more weakness. So we'll see. Keeping my fingers crossed, we have a little Santa rally beginning here. All righty, guys. So good trading, and I will see you back at the at 11:30 for the next update. All right, guys. Later.